All right, so welcome everyone to the first episode of, Work and Play Podcast Unlocked.
Unlocked. I like it.
Yeah. So in this series, what we're going to be doing is taking some of the, I guess you could say, most interesting past episodes from the Work and Play podcast and breaking them down. We're kind of looking at, what made them work and also what we as podcasters.
Especially us.
Yeah, especially us.
Yeah.
Can take away from those episodes.
Exactly.
So think of it as like a master class where we can, use those real world examples and think about how we can level up our own shows. So today we're going to be dissecting the Darren Myers interview.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah. It's, Darren's a captivating guest.
Oh, for sure.
In his own right. But what really struck me was how the host was able to just pull out like these fantastic stories and insights from him.
And that's what we're here to kind of dig into, right? Like how do you do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that I noticed was, how the host was so good at active listening. But it wasn't just like nodding along. It was the types of follow-up questions that she was using.
Right.
And you'll notice like she often went beyond just the what and dug into the why. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think, a really great example of that is when Darren was talking about, some of the challenges that he faced early on as, chairman of diversity.
Right.
She didn't just ask him like, oh, what were those challenges? She went deeper. She asked him something like, how did those challenges, shape your approach to leadership?
Right.
It's like you're shifting from the factual to like the more reflective.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where, we really start to get like a gold mine of insight.
And that's so valuable for us as podcasters. It's not about grilling the guest.
No.
It's about like guiding them to share their story in a way that's both insightful and engaging.
Yeah. And for me, I think where I struggle sometimes is like finding that sweet spot between like getting the information and letting the conversation like flow naturally.
It's tough.
It's a tightrope.
It is. And
I think what this host does so well is she uses silence. Yeah, like after she asks, one of those really insightful probing questions, she lets Darren's response just like hang in the air for a second.
Oh, interesting.
It's almost like an invitation to like elaborate. To add those little extra details that really make the story come alive.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she's subtly saying, tell me more.
Right.
Without actually saying it.
That's a good point. Sometimes, we rush to fill that silence.
Oh, I see that all the time.
But, those pauses can be incredibly powerful.
They can.
To your point.
Yeah. Now, another technique that this host uses masterfully is weaving in like personal anecdotes, to kind of like build rapport with Darren.
Okay.
Like she's saying, hey, I've been there. I get it.
Oh, right. I see.
I understand your struggles, but, it's a delicate balance.
It is.
Right.
For sure.
How much is too much?
Yeah. And actually, there's one moment where she shares a story about her own experience with like imposter syndrome in the corporate world.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a really nice connection point, I thought. But I felt like it went on maybe a little too long and it kind of shifted the focus away from Darren.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It did kind of like pull us out of his narrative a little bit. Vulnerability is a great tool.
Oh, yeah.
But we have to be mindful about oversharing, I think.
Right.
And the key is to keep our anecdotes, short, focused, and directly relevant to the guest story.
Right.
So instead of like a whole long, story, something simple, like just a sentence. Darren, I know that feeling of self-doubt.
Right.
Just something short.
Right. Just a little sprinkle.
A sprinkle. Yes. Don't drown them.
Don't drown the guest.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Let's talk about the flow of the episode. It's really like well choreographed.
Yeah, it is.
Like a dance, The host guides the conversation so seamlessly, and she uses like these clear transitions to signal topic shifts.
I loved how she would use these phrases like building on that idea, Darren.
Yes.
Or that experience must have been so pivotal in your decision to, it created this natural progression, like almost like chapters in a book.
Precisely. And those like signposts are so crucial, especially for longer interviews, I think. It helps the listener follow along.
Right.
And it keeps the conversation from feeling like all disjointed.
Totally, yeah.
And you'll also notice that she kind of like subtly summarizes key points along the way.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, it reinforces the information and it gives the listener a chance to catch up.
Right, like mental bookmarks.
Exactly, mental bookmarks. I love that.
So much we can learn.
I know, right?
Just one episode?
From one episode. So one final takeaway for all our listeners out there. Pay attention to the energy. Like the host's genuine enthusiasm. You can like feel it.
Yeah.
It's contagious and it makes you lean in like you want to hear more. That's the kind of energy that we want to bring to our shows, right?
100%. And it's a good reminder that podcasting is about connection.
Yeah.
You know, it's about sharing stories, sharing insights in a way that's informative, but also entertaining.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as you're listening to the Darren Myers episode, or frankly, any podcast, you know, ask yourself, what are some specific techniques that those hosts are using to engage their guests?
I like it.
How are they structuring that conversation? What kind of energy are they bringing to the table?
Yeah, because ultimately, that's what this is all about, right? Creating a truly engaging experience for our listeners.
That's the goal.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the first episode of Work and Play Podcast Unlocked. We'll be back soon to break down another amazing episode.
Can't wait.
See you then.